Alright, Corey, you asked me to do a little walkthrough of my CO2 setup, and here's what I have. It's a custom built reactor I had built for me by a member on the Planet Tank. It's a dual outlet regulator, which means that this side can control one tank and this side controls another tank. Each one has its independent metering valves, which determines the bubbles per second, what you're seeing right there. It's between 1 and 2 bubbles a second, closer to 2. That's what I'm running right now. Always tinkering with it, trying to get the right CO2 levels. But each one has a dual solenoid, which is this cord right here, and this other one's over here. What they do is they're an electronic valve or switch that shuts it on and off depending on your light cycle. So you don't want to run CO2 at night because it'll cause your pH to crash. You only want to run it when photosynthesis is happening. So I have that hooked up to a separate timer, which is separate from the lights, because I like to have it about 30 minutes before the lights turn on. The CO2 system turns on and fully saturates the aquarium. Then the lights turn on and there's already CO2 in the aquarium. If you have it come on at the same time, the lights will turn on and photosynthesis starts happening and there's not enough CO2 in the tank, so it's just not as effective. I don't know if you've ever worked with a regulator before, but these two gauges here, the one on the left is the operating pressure, which is about 15 pounds. I can control that with this valve here, left or right. I usually try to keep it somewhat low. Tweaking it more to the right will increase the bubble rate there. A little have to slow it down, but I tend to just set it right there at 15, then I use the metering valves to fine tune it. The one on the right is the tank pressure, and when you get a brand new filled tank, it sits right about 900 pounds. You can see here it's about 550, so it's getting kind of low. About time to refill it, and it cost me about $19 to refill this thing. It's a 20-pound tank, and it lasts about half a year when I was running 2 tanks. Now it would probably be a full year. From there, it comes out of the bubble counter. There's a check valve, and then it comes through underneath this cabinet or the table, and it goes down through there. Walk over to the other side. Comes through some holes I've drilled in here for the canister filter lines. And it comes down here into this reactor I built. Now what this does is, first the intake in the aquarium for the canister filter goes into the canister, and then the return line comes out of there and goes into the reactor, and the line comes in through here, and then the CO2 is blasted into it from the top, and the return line comes out of here and goes down to the bottom, and there's an intake down here that I built. So what happens is there's gas up here, and it can't be drawn into the aquarium until it's fully saturated in the water. So it's 100% dissolved, and then it gets sucked up into the aquarium, comes into the return line, and then it gets blasted out the spray bar. And it's fairly saturated, but I mean, you can kind of see little tiny, yeah, you see that right there, the little tiny bubbles. But then you can see it right there. They kind of build up under the leaves, and the plants create oxygen when this happens. It's pretty fun. It seems really complex. I mean, I'm sure when you're looking at it, you're thinking it's kind of complex, but it's really not, man. You see, you're a bit of a do-it-yourselfer, so you just tinker around with it a little bit, you'll figure it out, and it's really simple, and you'll just have amazing growth. Good luck, bud.